Hello, everyone. If you are watching a replay, please put hashtag replay. But the point of this call is to finish your dissertation program right for me. And so I am going to be spending the next few minutes going over the program as well as answering frequently asked questions. And as you come in, please let me know, say hi, let me know who you are. But y'all, I don't have a plan, so this could be a little bit dangerous. I tend to go off on rants and things. But here's the thing. If you were at the call on Monday, and if you haven't, go watch the replay. I created the Finish Your Dissertation program, or I even started getting into dissertation coaching because of my own experience of trying to finish the dissertation. And I just kept going through that process knowing that part of me knew it didn't have to be as challenging as it was. Part of me knew that there is a way to go through a dissertation process and feel supported and feel like there are people who believe in you, people who want to see it through to the end, people who are not afraid to be with you in those moments where you're up all night wondering if you can do this. And this is not to take away from your committee or your chair, right? Because for most people, their chair is supportive. Their committees, excuse me, are supportive. They're just not as much support as you may need as you're going through the process, right? So nothing that I do is saying that your committee or your chair doesn't care, because they probably do, but there's a limit to that. And I say something often to clients to say that one person cannot be everything to you, right? Like your advisor, your chair, your supervisor, whatever the terminology is in your program, they have so many other things competing for their attention, right? They have other advisees, they have their own research, they have teaching, they have their personal life. And their job, only a very small fraction is devoted to advising doctoral students. And what makes this program different is our only job is dedicated towards doctoral students. And so I'm not saying that I'm better. I'm saying that my job is to support you through this process. And that's a different type of energy. That's a different type of support that I'm coming in with to help you. And I created the program that I needed. I created a program that not only tells you what to do at each part of the dissertation process, but it also helps you for the life, right? Because life continues to happen. Life does not care that you decided to enroll into a doctoral program and become doctor. Life doesn't care that, right, you're having a hard time writing, putting words on the page. It's just going to keep happening. And so where do you go to get that support? Like, where do you go when your advisor, your committee, your program, other cohort members are not enough support? That is what I created. So let me do an overview. So the Finish Your Dissertation program, what we do is we help you from start to finish complete an entire dissertation and successfully defend it in 12 months or less. And I have been doing this work for 5 years at this point. From the moment that I was like doing my own dissertation, I started this, and I've been helping doctors just like you get to the finish line. And I continue to learn, I continue to improve. But where we are right now is it's an entire comprehensive program that walks you step by step. What you see here is a picture of the home page of when you come into the program. This is what you see. When you enroll and you put in your payment information, you come straight here. And what that means is that you get immediate access to the program. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me go through these slides. What I've learned is that it's not the content of the research, right? It's not the content in your courses or in your field that you're having a hard time with. It's not a lack of knowledge. What it's coming down to and why it is so challenging to finish a dissertation is that most doc students, and I would argue most academics in general, but most doc students are struggling to write, right? Struggling to get words on a page. And so what I have done is created a program, a process that helps you get words on the page. Because when you have words on the page, now we have pages, now we have chapters, now we have a finished dissertation. And I help you do this whole thing in 12 months or less. What this looks like in terms of before you join the program, what I hear people say is, I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. Like I had a why, I knew I wanted to be doctor, but those reasons are not holding up for me now. And or people will say like, "I know I could finish if I just had someone tell me what to do. If I knew someone could just like say like, here's a plan," similar to when you enroll into a class and you get a syllabus, right? People are looking for that in the dissertation process, right? Or they're saying, "I have so much or so many things, so many people competing for my time and attention. I don't have enough time to write, or I don't have enough energy to write." Because after I do my whole day of work and family and all the things, when it comes down to sitting down to write, I'm just tired. And what I really want to do is just go watch TV and eat. Maybe you managed to get words on the page, right? Maybe you managed through all of that fighting the urge to go watch TV, you get words on the page, but then you look at your writing and you're like, it's not good enough. It doesn't sound academic enough, or my chair won't approve it. And then that makes you afraid to get feedback because if they already told you that your writing wasn't up to par, maybe they said it recently, maybe they said it years ago, but you still have that in the back of your mind of like, it's not, they're not going to approve it. I'm not going to be able to finish. So what's the point? And so you start ghosting your chair. Maybe you're like me, who pretends to hide from your chair in hallways. Like I just would not talk to her because I was like, no, you're just going to tell me my writing's bad and I'm not going to move forward. And I don't want to be reminded of that. And that leads to you feeling very alone in this process. I feel like a lot of people don't make it to becoming doctor because of the isolation. Because up to this point, you were in classes. You were, even if you, whatever, however you feel about your other class members, right? Y'all were all in classes or the in person in Zoom. Y'all were all going through the same process at the same speed, go during the same assignments that were due at the same time. When you get into the dissertation or when you get into comprehensive exams, now everyone is doing their own pathway. And that is very lonely because who do you look to say, like, are you experiencing what I'm experiencing? Or how are you doing this? And people tend to get very territorial during exams and the dissertation. They stop sharing, they stop being open. And it just keeps coming back to why am I doing this? It must be that I'm not smart enough. It must be that I'm missing something. That's usually where people come, and that looks a lot of ways, right? You can have the most supportive committee. You can have the best chair. You can still feel like I'm missing something. I don't know how to do this. And it could all end today, that you don't have to be someone who's struggling to find out your why. You don't have to be someone who is like overwhelmed with pages and pages and pages of track changes and not sure where to go. You don't have to be someone who keeps staring at their computer or their laptop, being like, I know what I want to say, but how do I say it? And for those of you who don't have as supportive of chairs or even a chair who just even understands the type of research you're doing, you don't have to go through that alone. Thank you, Kendra, and welcome. Yeah, it is. I know I felt super alone, and I was writing my dissertation with someone who was in the same process as me. Like we were on the same timeline, but it still felt lonely because I felt like she had certain types of support that I didn't have privy to. So I'm saying I know how it feels. And so I created the program that I needed in 2.5 months, where I was trying to get IRB approval, collect data, analyze the data, and finish my chapters because I had 2.5 months if you don't know much about my story. And if I would have known that such things as like a dissertation coach existed, I would have paid all the money because it was at that point in the middle of the process being like, it doesn't matter what the cost is because what this is costing me trying to go at it alone is way more than any monetary value. The cost to my sanity, the cost to my physical health and well-being, the cost to the relationships around me. I would have given anything to avoid the things that I went through, which is why I do this work. Because I want you to get to the finish line. I know you're going to get there, but I want you to get there feeling like happy, healthy, whole. And that is not just some jargon. People tell me that every single day in the program and when they finish. We just had Dr. Kat Stevens finish today, and even though she was tired, she could tell you, and she did say it in the podcast of like, but how I feel doing it the way that I did it is unmatched. So, like I said, when I showed you the first slide, once you sign up, you get immediate access. You don't have to wait. You get to go dive into all the videos. The core curriculum takes 50 minutes to go through, meaning that you'll have the exact process of how to get words on a page, how to organize your time, how to set yourself up for success, not only in the Finish Your Dissertation program, but also in your dissertation process. And if you're someone who's like, well, I'm not quite at the dissertation, maybe you're doing exams, the principles hold true. Because the program I created wasn't just about your dissertation. This is just a blip in your life. You're going to always be writing to some extent. You're going to always be creating to some extent. And I wanted to teach you how, no matter if it was a dissertation, no matter if you're a tenure track faculty member, you was an executive director of student life, whatever that looks like, I wanted you to have a system that you could always fall back on and do that process and actually have joy without it robbing you of your life. Hi, Brittany. Um, so when you come in, you're going to be directed to fill out the dissertation audit. It's just a form that asks you, tell me about you. Tell me about what's going on. Tell me what your support looks like. Tell me what you need. Tell me a little bit about your topic. And it's not that even if you don't know the answers around your research or your topic, it's just tell me what you do know. Because what that's going to do is I'm going to take that information and then we're going to get on a call, just the two of us, and I'm going to map out the plan for you to finish. Not only I'm going to tell you the long-term plan of this is when you'll finish by, this is how you'll get there. But I'll tell you exactly what to do, like how to use the program for your first 90 days. And most people turn in a draft to me within the first 2 weeks of being in the program. People who have gone months without being able to write anything are turning in completed chapters in 2 weeks or less. So I mean, I'm tooting my own horn because I know like no one will outcoach me, no one will outwork me. I know this like the back of my hand. I would know how to get you to a place where you feel energized enough to put words on a page because I've been doing this for so long and because I've helped so many students. So you'll fill out that audit. We'll get on a call. And then you'll have access to all of these. As you can see, there are different, these are all different modules about each process, part of the process. So we have the introduction chapter, like literature review, methodology, findings, discussions, and you will see that the first one says mindset and momentum. And it's because I talk a lot about you can do all the right things and still not finish your dissertation because it's not about the work at this point. It is about who you see. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as someone who could become doctor? Do you see yourself someone who can go into a defense and say, this is what I've done and this is why I did it, and have the confidence of like, and you're going to sign the paperwork and I'm gonna be done with it? That's why that's first, because I want you to know just how important that is. But also as bonuses, because people are always asking me, okay, how did you start this business? The only reason why I did this whole doctoral process is because I wanted to be a consultant. I got you covered. When people come and ask, like, even if you want to know how to like publish or do any like speaking, we talk about that as well. That's not the core of the program, but it's a bonus because I started to realize that there were a lot of students coming in and being like, this is what I really want to do. So I wanted to help you out. But I want you to know that inside of here are like tons and tons of videos, and I'm always updating it. I'm always getting suggestions or people asking me questions, and it's just easier for me to create a training on it than it is to answer like each individual question. So rest assured, like if you have a question, it's there, and if it's not, I will give you a very detailed answer to it. So that's what that looks like. We also have a private Facebook community where, listen, it's just all types of ratchetness, debauchery, and support like no other. It is very hard for me to describe the community because it is a community where I've never experienced like this anywhere. People who look like you, people who come from where you come from, but people who are so willing to help you. Like they would do whatever it takes to support you. They're not competing unless it's a fun competition, but they're not competing. There's no entitlement. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for with people? They just come in with this air of like cockiness and they're just always trying to one up you. We don't do that. That's not how we roll because we know that someone told me one time, it's like, I'd rather build the tall, I'd rather win by building the tallest building than knocking down your building. I kind of jacked that up, but I think you get what I'm saying. listen, it's ratchet, Kendra. Like, we don't make no qualms about it. When you go in there, you're gonna be like, oh, this is a different type of group. And it's because you are a whole person. And I hate that we have to split ourselves into pieces in academia. Like, oh, you gotta be professional or you can't talk like this. This is how I talk. I'm a talk. So that is what our community looks like. And if you've been around, you've probably interacted with them. But I will tell you that people come for help me put words on the page, and they stay because they have never felt so seen. They have never felt so connected to people that they don't know. That they're like, I've never met you, but I feel like you are going to be my friend for life. And I'm also going to toot my own horn again. And it's because not only am I doing something that like I wish I had when I was going through this process, but I also experienced community like this. And as someone who has a background in student affairs in higher ed, this is what we do. We build community. And so I'm very intentional about a community that is built on inclusion, on like acceptance, and people being a whole ass self without having to separate themselves into parts. Every week we meet for what is called right away. It is our weekly call where some people will go into a breakout room because we're on Zoom and they will write, but they're there for the support. But a lot of times people are coming because they're like, okay, I just need motivation to get through this day and the next day. And I know what my next steps are, but I'm having trouble sitting down. I just don't feel like it. We talk through those things. You will see me coaching people through things. You will see me coaching people through exams. You will see me coaching them through interviews. You'll see me coaching them through having, tough conversations with their chair. Some people want to just ride up on their chair and like do some like throw some hands. And I'm like, maybe you don't want to do that. Here's some other options, right? Everything in between. This is your space to come and ask your questions. This is your space to get affirmed. Because even if you don't even talk, even if you don't have your camera on, I promise you, you're going to leave and you're going to be like, I need to go do something right now. I got the energy. We do that. Right now for the summer, we meet every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. But when we come back from summer break, so in August, we will be meeting Sundays and Wednesdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And also, people will, in between those formal calls, they will still show up and write with each other throughout the week. It is not uncommon for you to see someone in a Facebook group saying, yo, I'm writing in the next 2 hours. Anybody want to join me? And there will be people who are like, yeah, I'll come join you because there's power in community. So I want to say that as well. And then you also get unlimited feedback by being in a program. I have a whole system that walks you through it. I'm the one that's looking at it. I'm the one that's reading it. And really, what I'm doing is I'm there to tell you that if what you have, if your advisor will approve it or not, if it's something that will make it through a proposal defense or a final defense. It's not so much about the grammar and mechanics and APA as much as it is about, is what you're saying, is that clear? Do you have a sound argument? And is it defendable? Because that is way more important than if you got the commas and the periods in the right place. Because you can find anyone to do that. What you can't find someone to do is does this make sense? Does this match what we know to be true in the literature? Is this what my advisor is looking for? I call myself a translator for your advisor. I'm not there to replace them. I'm translating for you because they say things certain times and it's not clear. And I'm like, this is what they mean. Just write this, just do this. So, like I said, the core curriculum is 50 minutes. You get a private session with me, and there's opportunity to get additional sessions depending on what your needs are. And we can discuss that more. You get weekly community and writing time, unlimited writing feedback. And like I said, I'm always adding to the program. I'm always trying to help as much as possible. So it's so much more. And the investment amount is either one payment of 2,500, or you could do the 10-month payment plan of 250. And what that looks like is, say you signed up today on July 8th, your next payment would come out on August 8th, and so on and so forth until you are finished. And you are in the program for life. For life. There are people who finished their dissertations 2, 3 years ago, and they still come for the community. When I tell you this community is the best that you will ever experience, it is the best. This is why people don't leave. And because you will continue to write if you stay in academia or higher ed, or you just need a space to work, people come for that. and then especially come in the Facebook group to try to help and give back as much as possible. Yes, ma'am, Brittany. Yes. Listen, I just want to help you because I've been there. And I want to leave with before I get into more questions. So if y'all have questions, let me know in the chat. But Dr. Natasha Linston, when she came, her program, so I would have met her February of 2020, and she came on my call for a literature review, and she was like, "I'm not giving you any money. I'm coming to talk to you." And she was struggling with her getting the support that she needed. At that time, she was doing a group dissertation and was 3 other members with her doing a dissertation, and they were just having a lot of conflict. And from February to May, she had found out that she did not pass her exams because I think there was a rule of if everyone doesn't pass and like if one person doesn't pass, everyone doesn't pass or something like that. And so she came to me in May and was like, everything is going wrong. I'm not passing. They're talking about removing us from our program. And she was also being let go from her job. And I said, "Oh, this is no problem. These are like little speed bumps. Like we can get through this." And by the end of that summer, it was confirmed that she was removed from her program and she was removed from her job. And we worked really hard for her to write a proposal in about 6 weeks, and she got accepted into a new doctoral program. Imma just stop there because most people, your worst fear is that your program is gonna tell you you can no longer be there, and we went through that in, like, a 2-month span, and but she was still, through coaching, able to finish a proposal and still hold belief that I'm still gonna be doctor, it just might not be in this program in this way. So she got into a new program and she had to go through those requirements and she got with a new chair and things were looking promising. Now she was still a little bit like, oh, I don't know. That was a tough summer. Things were looking promising. And then she was working on her, updating her proposal to be able to defend it. And right before she was to defend it, her chair passed away. So you hear what I'm saying? She went from this group thing not working out, failing exams, being let go of a job, being let go of a program, getting into a new program, getting a new chair, thinking things are fine, and then that chair passes away. And most people would have been like, you know what? This ain't it for me. But we cried on calls, we worked through, we came up with a plan together, and y'all, she just defended in March 2022. And the one thing that she said was, "I feel happy, healthy, and whole." Even through all the shit that I've been through, even though all the things, worst case scenarios, I'm on the other side being doctor. And she regularly comes to calls because she wants to help. She wants to give back. And I share that story to say, even when everything seems like it's going wrong in your life and everything that you're like, that would be my worst case scenario. I don't know how I would still continue to move on. I hope that you look to her and other people like her, because that's just one of many stories inside the program. I hope that you look at folks like this and be like, I could do this. I could keep going. I got the support because she wouldn't have been able to do it without the community. Most people would have just given up, but she did it. And you will have someone like her helping you through your process as well. Okay. So those are the slides. I now, again, let me know if you have any questions, but I will do my best to try to remember frequently asked questions. A question I've been getting a lot lately from folks is, I'm not quite at the dissertation yet. Maybe I'm finishing up classes. Maybe I'm finishing up the exam. Should I join? And my question would be yes, because yes, I'm going to help you finish your dissertation. But for me, what's more important is you helping you to recalibrate, helping you to make the transition as someone who you just see yourself as a student who takes classes versus someone who has something to say. Because I believe you have something to say. I believe that you are going to shake up some things. But maybe you've been beaten down by your program. Maybe you've been beaten down by some faculty member. I just think back to my first year when I had someone clearly tell me, who was the program director at that time, that I was a shitty writer and that I shouldn't be in the program anymore, but he couldn't kick me out, so that's why I was still there. And I know how that feels, and so how do you heal from that? That doesn't start just because like, you don't get over that just because you're writing a dissertation. All of that will come up. Everything that you've been avoiding, everything that's happened to you while you were taking courses comes up during the exam and the dissertation process. And I think it is smarter of you to like get the help that you know you need now before you get into the middle of a dissertation storm. It is best to be prepared. It is best to be like, I'm ready. What's the whole thing? If you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. That's my mentality when it comes to that. So yes, join. And yeah, I have a whole protocol of how you should approach your comprehensive exams because most people focus on, do I know all the things I need to know for my exams? And what people don't focus on is you still a whole person. And depending on what that process looks like, you got to remember to feed yourself. You got to remember to drink water. You got to remember support, go outside. That you can't, again, depending on the structure of your exams, like you can't just stay in your house writing because that's not going to help you pass your exams. And so I talk about how do you ask for help? How do you set things up that makes it easier for you to complete those exams and not only complete them, but pass them. So we talk through that. And then when you're ready, I do put you on a timeout. People will tell you about my timeouts. I put people on timeout all the time because once you hit a milestone, you need some downtime. You need some time where you're not writing, you're not thinking. And so usually after someone does their exams, I'm like, give me 2 weeks. You can still come to our calls, you can still be in the program, but don't think about writing for at least 2 to 4 weeks to give yourself that space. I know that sounds very counterintuitive when you're like, but you told me I was going to finish in 12 months or less. Yes, this is the key to you finishing in 12 months or less is you learning how to take breaks and take care of yourself. And we will definitely hold you accountable to that. Like I'm telling you, people will find you. Even if you try to ghost us, we will find you on the Instagrams and the Twitters and the TikToks where you might have messed up and gave somebody your phone number. Now everybody's like, hey, what you doing? Are you sitting down? Did you go to sleep? Did you eat? And it's all in love, but it's to make sure you're taking care of yourself. And then when you're ready to do the proposal, my plan for you is 3 months or less, you are defending that proposal. You have all the words you need and you are ready to defend. And once you defend, we do the whole thing again. You're gonna need some time because your brain's gonna freak out about like, how did I make it here? You need time for the IRB process because they can take a while depending on where you are and what that process looks like. And you gotta go back and forth with edits. But we tell you to take a break because we know when it comes to data collection and analysis, you're gonna need a different set of energy than what you did when you had your exams and your proposal. This calls for you to think of yourself differently because data collection analysis goes so quickly and there's a lot of moving pieces and we just want you to be ready for that. And similarly, I'm going to come in at some point during that process and say, okay, you can stop collecting data now. I know what you proposed. I know what you told your committee, but now you know more information than you did before. And you need someone to tell you to stop because you will want to keep going. There are people who are out here having like 30, 40, 50 participants, and I'm like, that's no longer a dissertation. That's your whole research agenda for you to get tenured. You're not doing that. We're trying to write a dissertation. So I will come in and be like, stop, go ahead and write your final chapters. And I will be on you, write those chapters. You will want to fight with me. I'm telling you, this is the same process people go through. You're going to want to fight me and tell me it's not good enough. And I'm going to be like, turn it in. I know you don't think it's good enough, but turn it in. And you need someone, especially when you get to chapters 4 and 5, or you're doing the 3 manuscripts, especially when you get to the end, you need someone to say, turn it in. It's good enough. Turn it in. I know. Because the closer you get to the end, the more your brain will try to tell you, no, stop. And again, I know that sounds counterintuitive. It's just how our brains work. It will try to stop you from getting to your final defense. And that is where the community will really come together and push you to say, turn it in, let's go to the defense, and then we will show up to your defense to help you like have the confidence to keep going to the end. It's one of our favorite things. We love rolling in deep to a defense. But that is the process. And I can answer other questions. Let's see. You stated this program can also assist with preparing for comps. Can you expand on what that support would look like? So, yeah, so for your comprehensive exams, Brittany, like signing up, what we would do during your first welcome call is I need to get clear on what your particular process looks like for your comprehensive exams. And one part we do is like, okay, You don't need to know all the things to pass your exams. You need to know, okay, what are the things I like talking about? And what are the things that whomever is grading your exams, what do they care about? Because what people make the mistake in comprehensive exams is they think they have to know, they have to talk about all the things that they ever learned in their classes. And I know that faculty will say, be prepared to answer any question, but that's really not what this process looks like. What it really looks like is they're going to ask you questions that they feel like you are interested in, and they're going to ask you questions around key theories and concepts that anyone in the field should, quote unquote, know. And so if you can just focus your attention on those things, that would make for a better preparation process and you trying to memorize or take notes on every single thing you've ever learned in class. So that's one part. The second part then is, how do we help set you up to write according to the exam? So if I give you an example of my exam process was a 4-day period. It wasn't a take home. We had to go on campus, and for 4 days, each day we got a question and we had 4 hours to answer that question with no notes. So my preparation process looked like, okay, how do I practice in a 4-hour period reading a question, figuring out an outline, writing the answer, and then still having enough time to edit the answer before the time ran out. So whatever your process looks like, it's like getting very clear in that process and making a plan for not only what do you need to know, but do you have the stamina, or here's your plan for practicing meeting the requirements of that exam. And then the third piece, like I was mentioning earlier, is how do we prepare you for life wise to be able to devote all of your time and attention to your exams, right? Are there, if you have a family, if you have kids, how do we arrange childcare or people to help you? If you have fur babies, how do we arrange people to help you? This is a great time to ask family and friends, even if they have no idea what it is that you're doing. This is a great time to give people very clear instructions of like, hey, I'm going to be doing my exams at this time. Can you make sure I have food at this time? Or can you text me every day at 8 o'clock and make sure I'm going to bed? Or can you, donate to the, I don't know, DoorDash fund to make sure I have food? Because while you think it's not a big deal that you're doing these exams, it's a very big deal. You will be very distracted and all of your attention will be there, and you won't have the energy to make sure that you're eating. You won't have the energy to make sure you get outside and you see sunshine. You won't have the energy to make sure you go to sleep because you'll constantly be worrying, your brain will be going. And so I help you set up those things as well. So that's what that process will look like. Let me know if you are like that wasn't clear for you. And then Kendra, data analysis is my jam. And I will give you a preview to say, usually what I tell people to do is when you're at the stage you are, take out a document and just write out chapter 4. If you couldn't analyze, for say for instance, let's pretend like your chair is waiting for that chapter 4 today and you can't do the analysis process, what would you put for chapter 4? If you didn't have to worry about it, how it's being formatted, and you didn't have to worry about anything else, what would you say? What were the main ideas that came from the data? Because what that does is helps empty out your brain. It helps you to realize that you already been analyzing this data, especially if you're someone who's been doing a qualitative project. You are the research instrument. And as a research instrument, your brain didn't just come on just because you're like, now we're at the data analysis phase. No, you have been thinking about your participants, your data from the moment you were writing a proposal, from the first interview, or whatever that, I don't know what your project is, but from whatever the first point of the collection was, your brain started making connections back to the literature, back to your own experience. It started trying to figure out, well, so and so said this, but this person over here said this. Like it has already been making connections, but it probably 9.9 times out of 10, you probably haven't had a space to really write out everything that you've been thinking. Maybe you've done memos here and there, but I'm asking you to give yourself uninterrupted time and just say, like, if I had to just say, what were the three main ideas, what would I say? Write that out, and I think you'll be really shocked. And then go back through whatever your process was. It'll make it easier for you to navigate. So I hope that was helpful. Um, as far as I'm trying to think, what if I'm not able to make a call, like one of the weekly calls? We record the calls and we put it up in our member portal so you can always go back and watch the replay. When is the last day to join? Today, if you want to join before our live event. So tomorrow and Sunday, we'll be doing a Write Your Dissertation live event. I used to do this like open to the public, but I found that I wanted to have more hands-on time with people in the program, so we're closing it. And what that looks like is tomorrow is more of the dissertation day. So tomorrow I'll be talking about my story about how I went from academic probation to being a whole doctor, and what were the things that were most helpful, like what were the strategies that helped me get to the end. I'll be sharing that. Dr. Alexandria Petch will be coming in to talk about how do you utilize the Finish Your Dissertation program to its full advantage to get everything that you need as someone who just recently graduated. And then I'll be talking about imposter syndrome and how that shows up and how you can navigate it and work through it throughout this process. And then on Sunday, we will switch a little bit, and Dr. Kat Stevens will come in and talk about the job search process within the academy. So, as someone who was writing a dissertation in job searching. She's going to be sharing what her materials look like, what her strategy look like, how she would approach applying for a job, and how does she utilize her community. And it worked because she had two competing job offers before she even turned in her final version of the dissertation. So she'll be coming in, and then in the middle of Sunday, I have invited two clients, Dr. Shaquinta Richardson and LaWanda Swan. They're going to come in and talk about how they left higher ed and built multiple six-figure businesses. I think Wanda, she'll make 500,000 this year, and I think Shaquinta is probably somewhere between the three and $400,000 mark. People who are just like you in higher ed, being students like, what do I do? And within 2 years, they were able to get this success. So we are going to be answering all questions, telling you exactly how we did it, best practices and strategies. And then I will round off Sunday saying, okay, the next academic year is coming. Let's put a plan together. Not only a plan for you to finish the dissertation, but if you also want to, a plan of building your or starting your business. And that's what this weekend is. And that's just to get us kicked off for the year. There will be more workshops and things coming. But if you want to join us live, today is your last day. Of course, there will be other opportunities to join the program. But like, why miss this whole live event? Because we won't be doing it again until next year. And I would hate for you to miss out. I'm trying to think any other questions. Um, People usually ask me about the writing feedback. My goal is to give it back to you within 7 business days. I really try my hardest to get it back to people before then. But if you gave me like a longer chapter, like something 10 pages or longer, that's going to take me a little bit. I usually encourage people to try to give me 2 to 3 pages at a time so I can give it to you by our next weekly call so we can talk about it face to face and really go through it. That isn't to make you feel shame about your feedback. It's genuinely to make sure you understand what it is that I'm saying and that you know how to address the feedback that I've given you. Because I noticed that a lot of people, they turn things in and they get feedback from people, but they don't quite understand what it is that they're saying. And so they get overwhelmed and they just don't respond to it. I want to make sure you understand it. I want to make sure that you feel confident and certain and you know what to do. And so you say if you give it to me on a Friday, because it's Friday, by that next Wednesday, you should have your feedback in your email box and we'll be talking about it on a weekly call. So I hope that helps. And and like I said, you get lifetime access to the program. Once you're in, no matter like what we add, no matter how much we update, you always get access to that. So if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment here or email me at, do I have it here? Contact at Marvette Lacy. Which if you came to this website, qualscholars.com, you'll be able to find the email if you don't have it. If you're not on the email list, what you doing? And if you're not able to join at this time, I understand you have to do what's best for you. Like this is why I give away so much free content because I understand that everyone is not able to join for whatever reason. But I still want you to feel like you have some support, you have some help. So please lean on the podcast, lean on the YouTube channel, join us on the email list because y'all will be like being really ridiculous with the emails, but I feel like it's all good. It's all in love. But yeah, come over, ask the questions, and I'm gonna go eat lunch. But I hope to see you in the program. I hope to be talking to you in the next week or so. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.